Welcome back. The time now is 6:17 and it's the first Tuesday of the month, which means it's time for Chapter Chat. Here to talk with me about this month's pick is Executive Director of the Dothan Houston County Library System, Chris Warren. Chris, thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Caroline. Very good to be here.
So tell me a little bit about this month's pick. It's a children's book this month, right?
It is. So as you know, we've tried to do sort of a mix of titles here on Chapter Chat. We've done some classics, we've done some literary fiction, we've done some more popular titles. But for this month, we decided to do a children's pick, and it's The Rabbit Listened by Cori Doerrfeld.
And tell me a little bit about this book. What can people expect?
So this book came recommended to me by a good friend of mine who's also a library director, someone who's very special to me. And when I was talking to my daughter about what book we should do today, she said we should do The Rabbit Listened. But it's a very sweet story about a child named Taylor. And Taylor builds this absolutely magnificent structure out of blocks. And then out of nowhere, the structure gets utterly destroyed. And Taylor obviously is just crushed.
Yeah.
And these different animals come by trying to recommend different ways that Taylor should process that sense of grief and that sense of loss. There's a rabbit, or excuse me, there's a chicken that comes by and says, you should talk about it. And Taylor, of course, doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then there's a bear that comes by, and the bear says, well, you should growl about it and you should be angry. And Taylor doesn't want to do that either. And so all these different animals come by. There's an ostrich who says you should hide. There's an elephant who says you should remember everything. There's a snake who says you should destroy something that was special to somebody else. And Taylor doesn't want to do any of those things. But then finally there's a rabbit who comes by. And the rabbit just sits with Taylor and says, just is quiet. And is present for him, or present for Taylor, and allows Taylor to go do all the things that Taylor needs to do in order to address that sense of grief and that sense of loss.
Seems like mental health is definitely a theme and a topic in this book, and it's such a prevalent topic in today's society. What would you encourage adults, like why would you encourage them to pick up this book with their children and experience it together? Sure.
So if you have a child in your life, or honestly even another adult in your life who's experienced something tragic or experienced a sense of loss, this is a really good book for the person who's doing the comforting as well as for the person who needs to be comforted. And I say that because I think that a lot of us try to think, well, we need to listen to other people about how we need to process our emotions or how we need to process our grief. And really what it's about is being empathetic, giving people that space, giving people that time in order to do the things that they need to do in order to process those emotions in a way that's right for them. And that's really what the book is about.
We know that art and literature mimic life, and this seems like a really incredible example of that in helping us process some of those things that we go through at any age, because it can happen all the time.
Absolutely.
Chris, if people want to pick this up, how can they pick it up at the library?
We do have a copy available at the Dothan Houston County Library System. You can put it on hold. All you need is a library card. If you don't have one, as long as you live, work, attend school, or own property anywhere in Dothan and Houston County, you can sign up for a library card at any of our locations.
Perfect. Chris, as always, thanks so much for joining us for Chapter Chat. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.